Hi, yes.
Good.
How are
Welcome,
you?
welcome back. Welcome back. Yes. How is
Nice to see you again after some time.
Yeah, nice to see myself alive as well. It's
You
been a
have
lot
you
happening
have
over the
no
last
new
week.
haircut,
Yeah.
right?
It's got them really short. Got all the gray hair.
Nice.
So, how you
The
been?
summer is coming.
Yeah, no, it's starting to get warmer here. Um,
Mm,
yeah. Nah, there's been another. Anyway, we'll talk about it. So today, we're talking about communications management plan. Did you get a chance to read the file I've shared with you?
yes, yes.
All right. So,
I will go parallel here.
okay, yeah. So I've just
Just
shared
a
a
second.
cheat sheet for all project modules with you. That's my summary understanding of what each and every module contains, right? So
Mm-hmm.
just have a read through it. I want to send you some video files as well. There's some video.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just because you have a busy schedule with family and work and everything as well, so I think the strategy we should be adapting is not to make you read through a lot of theory and text as well. So, should be like flashcards, for example, or um,
Mm.
a video that will help you understand as well. I've got a video from CBT Nuggets, which is another training provider in US. I was trying to share with you over WhatsApp, but for some reason it's not getting through. So I'll probably after this class, I'll probably be sharing a link with you from Google Drive for you
Thank
to
you.
go through it.
Thank you.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes video. It gives you a good understanding of project planning and how the whole CMP things work. Project communications
Mm-hmm.
management plan used to. So, what's your understanding? What's your
I went
understanding
through
of
everything.
CMP?
I went through all the slides, but I had some challenges with the questions. I like
Yeah,
that there are
go
some questions in between,
with
and
the
I would
quick.
like that we go through all of them because I
Sure.
was not sure. I don't know why, because somehow I didn't get it. Although the slides were understandable at the end, the questions for me were a bit complex.
That's okay.
And
Look,
I
it's
like,
all complex. It's all complex until you're starting to get a gist of it, right? So it's not
yes.
rocket surgery, right? So there's
What I
only one
like, for
point.
example, is when I was watching your videos, it was pretty clear for me everything agile as well as the
Yeah,
other
no,
video.
this
What was
was
it?
so those videos were made when I was doing the ACP certification.
Yeah,
So
of course.
um, I work on a principle of learning by teaching as well.
Mm,
It's been like at least a good year since I've made a proper video because I've been busy with other work that I do. But do you mind if I record this class just to help the other students understand about the communications management? Do
should I
you have
sit?
no
Should
privacy
I?
issues or um,
No, it's okay.
okay,
It's okay. Yeah, just
all right.
but I should just
No, that's
sit
okay. It's totally
somewhere
no. Look,
to
it's
dress to
this.
dress up.
No, you don't have to dress up. It's the purpose here is to be yourself, and the purpose is to study and understand and grasp as much as knowledge as possible, which can also help the other students as well. That might come through. So I'm glad I have your consent. So project communication plan. Tell me about it very quickly. What's the percentage? You went through the slides, yeah? You went,
Yes, yes, I did.
do you want me to share my screen with you? Wait, um, hang on. I just got to figure out how to do it. All right. Do you have the slides open, or you want me to open the slides on my end? Could you hear me? Your screen. Trying to share my screen with you. Right. So project communication plan is basically 90% of projects manager's job is to communicate, right? All right. So
Yes.
just this is just a plan to make sure everybody gets the right information at right time to the right place and the correct information. That makes 4 hours of communication, right? Right place, right time, right stakeholder, right, and the right
Mm-hmm.
information. 4 hours of communication. All right. So it's basically about developing a strategy to ensure that communication about the project is getting through to from all the way from sponsor to the project management to the development team and to internal and external stakeholders. All right. And for that reason, we have to implement a project communication strategy.
Just to let you know that I cannot see if you're sharing something.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm trying to share my screen. This is a new version, so just bear with me. Uh,
Okay.
Sharing options. Where's the embarrassing? One moment. What am I doing? Sorry, Marina, just a moment. I'm just trying to get that option across here. For some reason, I'm not getting the share screen option.
Slide page 12, right? Then 13 we were speaking about.
Yeah, so basically now this is the slide number. Apologies. This is the slide number where developing an appropriate approach and plan for project communication based on stakeholder information needs. So 4 R's, the right effective communication in project
Mm-hmm.
is right format, right? So
Mm-hmm.
as we discussed in the Teams module, that it's the right format of communication, whether it's telephone, whether it's face to face, is that
Mm-hmm.
email, um, or is it through a portal or a dashboard like SharePoint, for example, or an ERP system or a messenger?
Mm-hmm.
Communicating the project information to the right audience. So identify stakeholders, find out who needs to be involved, and what information needs to be shared. So hence giving them permissions and rights of different levels of clearance. You must have a good understanding working in the government, I think, of security clearance and or project clearances as well. So the right audience comes into that domain, and then at the right
Mm-hmm.
time. So what needs to be shared at what time and with who, and just to make sure the communication has the right impact. So 4 hours of
Okay.
communication. There could be an exam question on that. So
Mm-hmm.
then again, who needs that information, what format, who's authorized to share, that brings us back to the permissions and clearances, when, right time, where the information at the right place, right? So it all comes in what a time zone or a language barrier, also having cultural considerations. So I'm gonna skip to the most important parts from the exam point of view. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
important, but then again, having such a large number of slides, 70 slides in that case, we have to skip to the main ones. And again, this is not your mock questions or your practices. This is just to give you an initial understanding of project communication plan. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean, Marina? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I
Oh,
do.
excuse me. All right. So, by definition, project communication plan is a component of project or program or portfolio uh, management plan that describes how, when, and by whom the information the project needs to be administered and decimated. So, could you tell me a difference between project, program, and portfolio, please, Marina?
Mm. Project program and project
Yeah.
portfolio.
No, three things. What difference can you see between a project, a program, or a portfolio? As we know that a project has to be aligned with uh, with the objectives of the project, right? If
Mm-hmm.
if the project has um, if the company is running multiple projects simultaneously, that makes a program, right? Program, in a project you can share teams, but in programs you cannot share teams. And again, a
Mm-hmm.
portfolio at a very, very macro level where it's more aligned with the strategic direction of a company or an organization. So a portfolio could
Mm-hmm.
contain multiple programs. For example, uh, a defense manufacturer could have a a space research project, or they could have, um, aircraft or aerospace projects as well. And that brings us back to the land systems and cybersecurity systems in the defense domain and all the way down to submarines or deep water systems. So there's different projects um, under one program, and under a company's portfolio, everything from space all the way to the deep water. So that's what a
Does it
portfolio
mean,
means.
last
Yeah,
one question, sure. Does it mean that many projects contain make one program?
exactly. There could be 150. There's been times where I ran programs where there's 150 or 160 different projects running under one umbrella of a program, right?
Mm.
So there could be multiple programs running under a portfolio. Major companies, large multinational companies do it. All right, and they have hundreds or if not thousands of project managers running, and then the teams, different teams, are allocated to different programs. In a program, you cannot in projects you can share a team, but in a program you're not permitted to
Mhm.
share a team. And each and every project, as I said, has, as I said previously, that has a lesson to learn register. They call it LLR, right? Lesson learned register is uh, before we close the project, we have a lesson learned. We get it signed off like any other project document in a predictive or waterfall style of project management, and we get them signed off. And what we learned, how can we improve, and then in the next projects, where we drop the ball, how could we make sure that we don't do it in the next coming projects, and
Mhm.
ultimately that goes into the archive that called Project Archive, and there's a special name for it. Um, yeah, so it's like a graveyard of all the lesson learned registers. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so in Agile, as we are discussing, they have retrospectives through different iterations of the project. So they perform a task and they stop and they rethink. Okay, so this is a retrospective. Just same thing but different names, but it's done at different times. Again, different times during a project.
Okay. Clear.
Okay, so moving on.
Yeah. To the components, right? And
Yeah,
now can you
the
see me
component.
actually when I'm looking at the document or not actually? Can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see you now. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
can you?
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. So components, as we ran through it, stakeholder communication requirements. That's also um, components of the communication management plan or project communication plan. They used to be called CMP, but now they changed the name in PMBOK 7. So what information, stakeholder, the requirements, the reason for the communication, time frame and accuracy. Again, what's the duration of that information? How long, if you're communicating via an email or a meeting face to face, what's the duration, or what's the length of that? What's the length of that communication packet? All right, who's the
Mhm.
responsible person? Because a lot of the information in projects is confidential, right? Especially when you're working on government contracts and projects where they make you sign a non-disclosure agreement, NDAs they call it, and you are not to share project information or any components of that information with anyone, especially not social
Mhm.
media, no pictures, no nothing. So
Yeah, yeah.
who needs to
Confidential.
receive that information? Yes, absolutely. Because one social media picture, one social media meme, they call it, tailored, targeted to the wrong, that can destroy the whole project. And there's been examples in defense and healthcare when there's wrong, bad propaganda about a certain product, whether it's by competitors or each and every. You have to know your competitors, and that can demolish the whole project. So project sponsors, they ended up having to just terminate the project and move on. Time and budget allocation. All right. So how much time we need, again, the duration of the communication, and each and every resource costs money, right? And
Yeah.
what's our budget for that certain time frame of communication? Escalation ladder, as you know, who we need to go to, right? Um, we'll study that in Moscow technique as well, right? So which is another thing we use in communication on top of 4 Rs. Escalation process ladder. How do we update that information? Teams understanding of common acronyms and terminologies, flowcharts, and what constraints, what's the red tape on a certain project by the government. So there's a bit of a metrics on slide 14. So,
Mhm.
right, so that gives you
Yep.
what communication, how frequent it has to be done, what's the responsibility, who's the stakeholder, and the notes, right? And this is the ideal format of a communication management plan or a project communication management plan, right? And this is how
Yeah.
it looks like, right? So
Okay.
extranet, obviously the intranet, um, executive steering committee. Steering committee is something that's above the change control board, and usually the steering committee involves the project governance board, project sponsor, stakeholders, right? So then again, they have different account managers allocated to it. Status meetings, again, project status meetings, newsletters that go out via email or different other communication methods, right? So just
Mhm.
to, excuse me, check your understanding, slide 16, PMI is inserted the certain questions as well. I'll be hammering more on questions, multiple choice questions once we go through it. We'll discuss it at the strategy on how you like to study it. Do you want to study each and every model and then do practice questions, or do you want to finish all the slides for each and every module and then move on to just the question-based one and doing mock exams? However you want to do it. But they've inserted the at least 5 to 10 questions in each and every module slide, such as slide 16. All right, so
I
this is
like
my,
this type of questions after each and every part to go through the questions that are
yeah, but
relevant.
remember we have to do hundreds, if not thousands, to practice.
You're right.
Because
Okay.
180 questions you have to answer one question in 40 seconds. It's a very limited amount of time, right?
Mhm.
So, okay, so which project management plan has strategies to manage stakeholders?
Communication plan.
To manage stakeholders.
To manage the stakeholders, so a stakeholder plan then.
Exactly. Stakeholder management plan. It has the wrong spelling, but stakeholder.
Plan. Yeah, okay.
Okay. So a new stakeholder has been identified. He's a high power and low interest. All right. Did I run you through the power and influence diagram?
No.
PNI. Okay.
Mm,
So let me just quickly. Power and influence grid. Just let me pause that one. All right. So I was going to run you through the power and influence. It's also called stakeholder analysis as well. Just because they've used that reference in the sample questions in a communications management plan, so maybe was better if I ran you through stakeholder slides first, but it doesn't really matter which order. Communication teams, processes that come in first. Okay, so stakeholder. This is a power influence grid. So basically, the higher the power has a stakeholder, all right, the higher the power has and the lesser the influence, right? So as a project manager, you have to keep them satisfied, right? So they could be people in a government, for example. They have the high power, all right, and they have the little influence in the project because they're not internal stakeholders. So you just have to keep them satisfied. For example, building a house, you have to abide by the council's regulations, right? So you have to keep them satisfied, follow the rules, follow the red tape, and make sure you don't end up getting fines, for example, right? So this is the government, right? And then next one down is the next one to the right, right? So there's stakeholders. They have more influence, but they have high power as well. This is your steering committee. This is your change control board. This is your people higher up, your sponsors. You have to you have to engage closely with them. You have to um, inform them as much as you can. Keep them informed, right? Give them time to time information about the project and its progress. So it's very important that people with high power and high influence, you engage them, you prioritize them, right? Engage them very closely, right? And then next one
yeah.
on the list, you have the people with low power and low influence, right? Low power and
Yeah.
low influence, right? This could be the media guys. Could be a curious YouTuber who wants to know what's happening with the council's project or whether the park they're building that's going to have impact on the population or communities as well. These guys need minimum effort, right? Because as long as you follow the rules, you don't have to worry about social media or the propaganda. The project has to move on and carry on, right? And these people with little power and little influence on the project. I'm talking
Okay.
about mainstream media, a small YouTuber, for example, which could have a few hundred followers, for example, or a newspaper that is very local, right? No one reads newspaper nowadays. It could be, yeah. So these people, right? And then on the fourth one on the list, you've got to have people that have low power, but they have more influence, right? Low power, but they have more influence in a project. Could you think of an example of someone who has low power, but they have more influence on a project?
The development team, the project
Exactly.
development.
Well done. Well done. Development team. They have low power. Well done. This is you're learning. Development team, people in the operational domain, people who work under a functional manager or a weak metrics organization, a team that resides in that domain. You just have to keep informed. Send them a newsletter every week and say, hey, this is what's happening with the project. You don't have to worry about them too much. Just keep them informed. They have no power, and they have, you just have to keep them informed, right? So this is the power
Yeah.
and influence grid, and this is what they were referring to, right? PNI
But
back
it's
then.
completely different. This actually, yes, the stakeholder plan is not part of the communication, or it is.
No, it's totally different. It's
Okay.
integrated. It's integrated as
Mm-hmm.
well. It has to integrate because you have to choose what we need to communicate at what time with each stakeholder. There could be
Stakeholders. Yeah.
there could be 200 stakeholders on a project, all right?
Okay.
But not
Okay.
everyone
Clear.
needs to be informed about the costing or the numbers or the budget. Only the people that information relate to. That's why they have different tiers of clearances and information
Mm.
levels of communication, right? So we have about
Yeah.
7 minutes left on this call. So I'm going to quickly run you through 7
Yes.
C's of communication, right? Which is
Yeah.
another tool they use in it's just a checklist, right? And in this typical MBA stuff, right? So communication has to be clear, concise, concrete, correct, coherent, complete, courteous. I've not never seen an exam with a question on 7 C's on communication, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, jumping on to manage communication, right? So you've identified the stakeholders, what we need to communicate and to who, and then how you manage the communication. So it's the process of creating, collecting, distributing, sorting, retrieving, and the ultimate distribution of project information. Mostly it's done through a CRM in most projects,
Mm-hmm.
all right? CRM,
Mm-hmm.
which is a system you must have used in your experience as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make sure the information is being appropriately generated, received, and understood, right? Understood. And how do you know that people have understood the communication? Feedback and surveys.
Mm-hmm.
Feedback
If they
and surveys.
fulfill
Surveys and feedback.
the
Yeah.
task.
Yeah, the communication. All right. Sending a communication to our stakeholders is different to uh, they could have 3,000 emails sitting in their mailbox. Your email is just one of them. How do you know they've
Mm-hmm.
actually received? You would have the tool, Outlook will tell you they've received it. But how do you know that they've understood that as well? This is where you do a follow up or pick up the phone and talk to them. Hey, I've sent you this.
Mm.
You agreed to have your consent. Should I move on?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions in a nicer way? Do you have any questions for me? Or have I answered to your satisfaction? Have I informed you to the information that you needed? Or do you require me to provide you with something else? And this is what you do with people with high power and high influence as well. You have to closely monitor them. There's no time
Mm-hmm.
to go to each and every stakeholder one by one and make sure, hey, this is how you need to prioritize, and then this is where the power and influence grid that comes through. Who you need
Yeah.
to prioritize and by what information. So, quick question there: in which process a communication is actually carried out? Plan communication, manage stakeholder, manage communication, D, direct and manage work.
Plan communication.
Manage communication.
So what's the
This is the
difference?
execution. Communication is actually carried out. Planning is
Uh-huh.
what are you
The
sending
first
and to
stage.
who? But the actual submission of communication is to communication management.
Mm-hmm.
To make sense?
Yes.
Good.
Clear.
But
Yeah.
these are
Managing
just
is carrying
yeah,
out and executing, as you said, right?
execution exactly. And this is
Mm-hmm.
where and this is just an entry level question, but we'll get deeper. And as I said to you previously, feedback is very important. Communication is a two-way street. You do
Mm-hmm.
surveys, you feedback to make sure the communication is being done effectively, right? So another question for you: when is the communication completed? When a message is said, when a message is understood, when the feedback is given, and when the stakeholders agree with you. Mind
Either
do
C
not
or D. The feedback is given or
Stakeholders,
stakeholder.
not all stakeholders have to. You can't satisfy each and every stakeholder.
Mm,
You can't, unless that's high power, high influence, and you have to make sure that you you have to keep them satisfied, right? Keep satisfied,
mm-hmm,
but you can't keep everyone happy. So C is the right answer. When they've given
mm-hmm.
you feedback about their understanding of communication and they've understood. Yes?
Okay. Yes, clear.
Make sense? All right, wonderful.
Yes, of course.
Active listening, another technique, and you must have read it in your MBA a million times since you're a project manager yourself, Marina. So, communication technique is a good active listening, restating, paraphrasing, body language, nodding. I've told you about the body gestures, about when you are communicating with someone. Now, if you have your arms across, that means I'm not, whatever you say, I'm not ready to listen to you. That means keep on going. This means I've got my guard down, all that stuff, right? So you have to keep an
Mm-hmm,
eye on the listener's body language and make sure they are actively involved in your communication. So internal and external team member communication, right? Got about a minute left on this call, right? So
mm-hmm,
take a 5 minutes break for water. Negotiation, typical stuff. You got to use effective communication when you are negotiating a contract or a deal. Reliable methods of doing it. Again, most effective means of communication is face to face, right? You don't sign
mm-hmm,
a $10 million contract by just picking up the phone and getting people to agree to it. No, you have to sit down with them. You have to satisfy them. You have to, it's face to face. That's how you get contracts signed, right? Expert judgment
mm-hmm,
is another thing where you have people who have previous expertise, organizational process assets, previous templates in project, knowledge areas, discipline, industry benchmarking, people who know they've run projects before, and you obtain their expert judgment in your project, right?
yeah.
Okay, so 5 minutes break and
Okay.
come back and water break. We'll come back and continue the communication slides.
Okay.
All right, Marina.
See you then.
See you soon.